YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back a day after the NFL draft. Pretty sad it's over, but we got undrafted free agents, some good ones being signed. So, what I was going to do is take my top 10 and rank them based off where they were on my big board and, the fit of where they went. Can they make the team? But I pulled the other 15, actually. There's 15 that I really like. Obviously, there's more than 15 that I do like, but there's 15 guys, undrafted players that signed that I think can make the team. I think should have went drafted. So, yeah, we're going to break these down one by one. Again, it's not purely based off where they were on my board. It kind of goes into what team can they make the team, how good the fit is, all that kind of plays a part in it. So we'll go from 15 to 1. Right before we get started, subscriber goal is 20K. The bottom right, that's our Twitter. And then click that like button, subscribe button, notification button. Much appreciated. We also did other winners and losers videos. We graded round one. I'm going to start breaking down each team's draft and videos in the next week or two here. So plenty of videos breaking down each team's draft and some grades. We'll see who won the draft. So a lot of work to do here at the Goat House. Can't wait to do it. Number 15 for the undrafted free agents to me is Preston Williams from Colorado State. He went to the Dolphins. Very good sign. There's a lot of receivers on this list, actually, because the receiver group is so good this year that, as expected, some fell through, but it's really not the ones I was expecting. But Preston Williams, off the field issues transferring to Colorado State, that I guess kind of played a role here. The amount of really good receivers that really had no off the field issues, teams rather take them. And then I'm sure multiple teams try to battle for Preston Williams and undrafted free agency. The Dolphins get him, and they definitely need another receiver, so he can definitely make the team. So he's pretty much an all-around receiver. I thought he'd be more athletic at his pro day, so maybe that played a part as well. But he is very solid, so he definitely can make the team. He's at number 15. Number 14 is going to be Elijah Holyfield to the Panthers. I liked Holyfield a lot. Obviously, his poor 40 time at the Combine and at the Pro Day played a big part. But other than that, he's a tough runner. He can run in between the tackles, outside the tackles. He's got some moves. I really liked his tape. It was just the speed that was concerning. But really, if you just watch the game, every single week, every game, he put on a performance, and he was very good. So the Panthers get him along with Scarlett, who they drafted, the stronger, the bigger type running backs that will battle for that number 2 job. So pretty good competition in there. Holyfield, I thought, should have been drafted, even though the slow 40. Not a shocking one that he went undrafted because of the speed. But I really thought he should have been drafted. On number 13, I got Daniel Weiss, who went to the Cowboys. This is the ultimate production interior defensive lineman. He got a lot of production at Kansas. Another one with a poor combine. He expected a little better. So I guess that played a role in making him go undrafted. I'm sure the Cowboys saw some tape of him last year. They brought in Dorrance Armstrong from Kansas as well. Daniel Weiss can play. He had a lot of production, so he definitely has a chance to make the team. Cowboys could use some more interior D linemen as well. Thought he would get drafted. Obviously, I thought all these guys would get drafted. Number 12, the Ravens get Antoine Wesley, wide receiver from Texas Tech. Very long receiver. Team's worried about his thin frame, and he doesn't have crazy speed for being light, but he is very tall, can catch, can move, can run routes. So yeah, he had a very productive career, especially this last season. So yeah, again, another guy I thought would get drafted because of his length and his body control, his ability to catch the ball in the red zone too. I thought for all those reasons he definitely would get drafted, maybe by round 5. So good pickup for the Ravens. They did draft 2 receivers, but they definitely can use as many as they can get here. They had one of the worst receiver units in football, so this definitely helps them. So that comes in at number 12. Pretty good list here. Number 11 is going to be Trey Lamar from Clemson, tackling machine. Not going to see this guy miss many tackles. He also can get some pressure to the quarterback too. Not crazy good in covering downfield and not super athletic. So we're kind of seeing a trend here. Guys that didn't have the best 40 times or the greatest athleticism dropped out, but the bottom line is they can play. So the Lions definitely could use a guy like this. He has a chance to make the team. I thought he would go in that 4th, 5th round range, so he's at 11. 10 is a quarterback. The only quarterback on this list, Tyree Jackson. Number 10 to the Bills. They picked him up like right when the draft ended. And it's funny because, the similarities with Josh Allen, big quarterback, strong arm, needs to work on his accuracy on the underneath stuff, but obviously Josh Allen's a way better prospect, so I'm not comparing them in terms of talent, but similarities there in their game, and Tyree Jackson stays in Buffalo and signs with the Bills. So that's a good pickup. It's a good backup quarterback. With time, he can possibly turn into a starter. It wouldn't be for the Bills if Josh Allen pans out, obviously. Number 9, another running back here, Darren Hall, who was one of my sleepers in the draft. I was surprised he went undrafted. I thought he was the much better Pittsburgh running back, and the other one, Olsen, got drafted by the Falcons, pretty comfortably too. He didn't really go super late. So I was surprised by that. Darren Hall, pretty much the total package for me. He's got size, strength, speed. He ran a 4.44 at his pro day. Really, the only thing he's lacking is he's not going to really juke anybody out of their jock strap. He doesn't have the best moves, but they're not bad moves. It's just really the only thing he's missing. I think it's a safe running back. He can do a lot. He can play every down. So I was very surprised he went undrafted. The Browns get a very solid one here, and Darren Hall, I thought he should have went 4th round. Number 8's Greg Dortch, another one of my sleepers of the draft. Shifty guy, very speedy. I think sometimes looks like he's running the 4.3s, 4.4s at worst. For a smaller guy, he can track the ball very well, very good after the catch, one of the better returners in the draft. I mean, he dropped because he's really small. Marquise Brown did go in the 1st round, but Dortch is a little smaller, and he's not quite the talent Marquise Brown is, obviously. But the Jets needing more receivers, in my opinion, this is a pretty good pickup. Greg Dortch is a sneaky guy, very quick, very good footwork, could make the team here. 7th is going to be the Bears getting Emmanuel Hall from Missouri. There might be a couple guys ahead of him on this list that, he was higher on my big board, but, I was surprised he ended up with the Bears. The Bears have they don't have like a super, super flashy receiver on their team, but they got a bunch of really good receivers, maybe the best receiver unit in football, and they drafted Riley Ridley too, so it's going to be hard for Emmanuel Hall to make the team. So that's why, if maybe it would have been a little higher if he went to a team where he can definitely make the team. So it's going to be tough for him, but he's very good, shifty guy. Did have some drops, so maybe that's why he dropped, but electrifying receiver, very athletic. So unlike the other guys that dropped, he's actually really athletic. So it's a very good pickup for the Bears. Let's see if he makes the team, though, because of the other talent. That's a question mark. Number 6 is going to be Mark Fields. I really like this pickup for the Chiefs. I thought he would go, 5th round, but the Chiefs needed corners, and they needed more corners. So they get a good one here. Very athletic. Didn't get a whole bunch of, interceptions, turnovers, but he's a pass breakup machine. Flies to the ball. Very good at reading the quarterback and receiver. So this is a good pickup here for the Chiefs. They definitely needed another corner like this, so he definitely can make the team. Number 5 is going to be DeMarcus Lodge, another receiver, another Ole Miss receiver here. Pretty dominant when he got the opportunity. He's very good down the sideline. I guess could wish you would have saw a little more of a route tree inside, but pretty good hands, made some spectacular catches. Really good at reading defenses too. So I thought that was what stood out to me, and I thought he would get drafted. And to me, the Bucs losing Humphries to Deshaun Jackson, he definitely can make the team. The Bucs looked at defense mainly throughout the draft, so DeMarcus Lodge definitely can make the team here. And I think he should have been drafted 4th or 5th round there. Number 4 is Savion Smith, a cornerback from Alabama that I actually had a 3rd round grade on. Wouldn't have been shocked if he went 4th round, maybe even 5th, but for him to go undrafted, a little ridiculous. Physical corner, definitely solid at coming up in tackling, not afraid to come up and hit. There was sometimes he got beat deep, but he can play. He's very physical. He has a lot of upside. So I do like the Jags getting him. The Jags are obviously set with starters. But they could definitely use some depth, and they get a good one here in Savion Smith, the corner from Alabama. Now we're on to the top 3. At number 3 is going to be Gerald Willis, the defensive lineman from Miami. I thought this guy would go 3rd or 4th round, and the Ravens get him undrafted. So Ravens make an appearance twice on this list. There's some teams that didn't make it on this list. I thought they got a very good undrafted haul, guys just outside the top 15. But basically this video is just the players, the single best signings. But Gerald Willis was a pretty dominant D tackle for Miami. Big part of that defense. I was very surprised he didn't get drafted. I figured he'd end up being a 4-3 defensive tackle, but he's going to the Ravens, 3-4 teams. So going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Definitely a good player. Was very shocked that he went undrafted. Number 2 is Stanley Morgan Jr. from Nebraska, goes to the Bengals. And he was my best player not drafted, but he's at number 2. He's going to have to battle some pretty good receivers there at the Bengals. But they could be moving on from John Ross too, so it's possible he makes the team. But to me, Stanley Morgan, one of my favorite players in the draft, I had a 2nd round grade on him actually. To me, was a safe receiver to take because he can do everything. He can run routes. Usually the busts over the years can't run routes. He can run routes. He can go anywhere on the field, get open anywhere on the field, can catch the ball very well, pretty solid after the catch. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with this guy. I haven't seen him block very well. Trying to figure out what's wrong with this guy. Only thing I can think of, there's no injury news coming up. Usually that's something, but we would hear by now. Only thing I can think of is maybe something with the meetings, not really his character, but maybe he couldn't get, plays down or anything, because I know teams really get in the player's head on that. So that's really the only thing I can think of. But the Bengals get a real good one here. I think a safe receiver. He should make the team, but it's a pretty good receiver group over there in Cincinnati. So it wasn't number one, even though he's my best player, but this guy wasn't far off. And it's Tavon Coney from Notre Dame going to the Raiders. The Raiders, needed more linebackers. They did pretty well in free agency, but no big-time guys. You know what you're going to get from some of those guys. And we expected maybe – we didn't really expect them to take Devin White, but we thought it was a possibility they'd take Devin White in the first round. They didn't take any linebackers, and they get one that I actually had a second-round grade on. Cannot figure out why he didn't get drafted. Not crazy athletic, but he's pretty athletic for his size. He's got experience in different spots over the years at Notre Dame. Very instinctive, can cover running backs, tackling machine. Not going to see this guy miss many tackles. I think it's very realistic that he can be the starting linebacker for the Raiders at some point during the season. I know they picked up some guys with free agency, but I'm really trying to figure out what's wrong with Tavon Coney because he's very good. And again, definitely, if he doesn't make the team, I'll be shocked, really. But then again, I was insanely shocked that he didn't get drafted. So we'll see. He was my second best player not drafted. Like I said, Stanley Morgan was one, but he's got a task ahead of him with that Bengals receiver unit. To me, Coney, it's a perfect fit with the Raiders. I think he really could, during the season at some point, I think we could see him maybe even week one as a starting linebacker. I really do. He's good. So a lot of good guys that make this list. There's more after this too, and we're still trying to wait for. There's a few guys out there that are solid that I think deciding between a few teams. So very interesting. A lot of steals later in the draft because teams overdrafting needs, and a lot of guys even went undrafted. So pretty crazy. Some of these undrafted guys should step up. We've been seeing some over the last few years really step up. So I'm sure we'll see some from this group. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Any players you thought I missed, but again. Starting this upcoming week, starting tomorrow, really break down everyone's draft. I'll grade out everyone's draft. We'll really break down team by team, maybe division by division. Every team's best pick, worst pick, sleeper pick, all kinds of stuff like that. I'm really going to break it down, and we'll see who won the draft. So several videos on that coming out. Maybe we'll get a 2020 mock draft as well, just for fun. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks for their support. Goodbye.